Certain places pulse with an energy that defies explanation, a resonance of events too powerful to fade into history's pages. Dark corridors stretch into darker memories, while empty rooms fill with unexplained footsteps and phantom whispers. These haunted locations serve as bridges between worlds, where the boundaries of reality blur and time itself folds back upon itself like pages in an ancient book. From these places, witnesses emerge transformed, bearing tales that shatter our mortal understanding of what lies beyond the veil. Prepare yourself. Listen closely. From the silence come stories that will not be denied. In Old Town San Diego stands a two-story house of Greek Revival bones and old bricks. Bricks fired from the owner's own brickyard. Built in 1857 by Thomas Y. The Y House is a repository of ambition, grief, and the kind of misfortune that seems to seep into wood and stone. The land beneath it once hosted the town gallows. Men swung from that rope and left something behind. Yankee Jim Robinson, whose neck was broken when the noose proved too short and the drop too small, died in horrible agony. Witnesses said the sound of his final struggle lingered on the wind. Thomas Y. purchased that same ground and built his home, and almost immediately the house began to answer with noise. Heavy footsteps that came from rooms where no feet trod, the sound of a child's laughter when no child played, the subtle, sorrowful presence of a woman in a garden who left behind the faint scent of French perfume. Over the decades, the family endured grave losses. Scarlet fever claimed an infant, a fire destroyed their business, and the daughter, Violet, died by her own hand after a life unraveling in small tragedies. These threads, tragic death, scorched hope, and public execution, tangle until the house itself seems to carry the grief like breath. Visitors feel it. Chills that pool at the base of the stairs, lights that embers and then flare, chandeliers that swing though no hand has moved them. People photograph what their eyes cannot name, mists, orbs, blurred faces, and the house, now a museum, remains inhabited by memories that refuse to leave. Far from the salt air of San Diego, the Congress Plaza Hotel in Chicago stands like an ornate invitation to the past, grand in marble and shadow, a witness to the city since 1893. Within its walls lives the weight of splendor and of sorrow. The hotel remembers Captain Lewis Austin, broken and haunted by war, who took his life on the eve of his wedding. His silhouette is still seen sliding through corridors, a shadow that pauses and follows. It remembers the refugee who leapt with her children from an upper window, Eva Langer, fleeing terror in Europe, whose ghostly child has been seen wandering the 12th floor. Staff tell of Peg-Leg Johnny, a restless man who once died under suspicious circumstances and now pushes furniture, slams doors, and calls mischief where none should be. There are rooms with reputations so fierce that managers seal them and lock the past inside. Cold spots that bite into the bone, moans that seem to originate from nowhere, furniture that shudders as if by an invisible hand. The Congress Plaza does not merely host visitors. It archives their last emotions, their final unsaid sentences. In St. Augustine, the Castillo de San Marcos rises, its star-shaped silhouette carved of coquina, a shell limestone made from the bones of the sea. Built in 1672, its walls remember sieges, betrayals, prisoners whose lives were spent within its rooms. Native leaders once imprisoned there, Osceola among them, left behind a legacy of violence and stolen dignity. A physician who tended a captive betrayed him by severing and keeping the skull as a grim souvenir. To some, that act birthed a figure whose headless form wanders the battlements searching for the part of himself that was taken. Lovers bricked behind a wall, a perfume that lingers at dusk, soldiers' shadows glimpsed in the sweep of a torch beam. These stories gather like birds around the fort, their bone-scratch voices making the night feel very near. The Castillo binds colonial cruelty to local grief. When you walk its stone paths, you move through consequences that refuse to sleep. The RMS Queen Mary, moored in Long Beach Harbor, is a vessel of ghost stories layered like ship paint. She crossed oceans of glamour and war, carrying passengers one season and soldiers the next. And the roll call of deaths aboard, 49 or more documented, feeds the ship's restlessness. In the engine rooms below decks, 50 feet beneath the waterline, a young crewman was crushed during a drill and is still reported walking in blue coveralls, vanishing near a particular door. The first-class pool, long closed and drained, remains a stage for apparitions in 1930s bathing suits. Footprints wet the deck and lead into rooms where no water can be. In the salons, a lone woman in a white evening dress has been seen dancing in the dark. And in certain staterooms, the ringing of a telephone continues after the operator is gone. The Queen Mary is not simply a rusting nostalgia piece. She is a ship that remembers the costs of travel, the losses that happen between ports. People come aboard to hear laughter that dissolves into the ocean, and to feel the old decks answer underfoot. On Anastasia Island, the St. Augustine Lighthouse stands tall. Its black and white spiral, a beacon that once answered to sailors and now answers to something quieter, more spectral. The lighthouse, built in the 1870s, sits on ground that held earlier watchtowers, and the sea breeze there carries more than salt. The tall shadow of a man who fell from scaffolding, Joseph Andreo, appears on staircases and is often accompanied by the smell of a freshly lit cigar. Sometimes the stairs creak with the cadence of someone who still insists on checking the lamp. In the 1870s, while men worked to raise the light, the keeper's daughters used a small rail cart for play. A single misstep sent a cart plunging over a cliff and took 2 girls from the world. Their laughter is said to echo along the catwalk, a brittle, bright sound at the edge of night. Maria Mestre de la Dolores sits in the lore as well. She became the first Hispanic woman lighthouse keeper there after her husband's death in 1859, and locals swear they feel her gaze on the water as dusk falls, a woman still guarding what she once tended. The air by the keeper's house can thicken with the past. Visitors feel a tug of something attempting to convey the suddenness of the old tragedies. Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay is a place that the world has imagined as an endpoint. Men sent there when they were considered irredeemable, sentences pronounced and carried out under the damp fog. Before any of that, the island had been called a place of spirits by native people. Even today, the land seems to hold a melancholy predestined to solitude. The cell blocks of the Rock are an architecture of cruelty and isolation. Tiny rooms, iron doors, walkways that echo. Men who were broken in mind and body left fragments that some say never reassembled into silence. A man in cell 14D cried for an attacker with glowing eyes, only to be found dead with marks about his throat. Wardens heard sobbing where there was no woman. The penitentiary's famous isolation unit, the Hole. The block was said to be the most haunted spot, where voices whisper even when visitors speak none.